Are we live? Okay, we're live. Finally. What people don't know in the chat there is I've just been mucking around. Andy's standing there like this. Come on, rolling his eyes while I'm mucking around with cameras. Anyway, so welcome back to the Beard Invades. This week we have Andy Pugh. Now, this isn't the first time I've invaded Andy. I invaded Andy last week, but it should never have been done pre-recorded. So I asked Andy if he wouldn't mind doing it live, just so you guys can get your own back with the questions, especially the guys from Makers International Podcast, where Andy's well known for firing questions and questions and questions. But welcome, Andy. Thanks for doing this again for me. I really appreciate it.
Good to be back.
Excellent. Well, let's just have a little look who's in the chat to start with. I know there's another live going on at the same time as it started like half an hour ago with who is it? The blind wood turner, I think. Anyway, so in the chat we've got Wayne the Wood Turner, we've got you, Andy, we've got Grant Alexander, we've got Colin Roberts, Douglas Mungham, we've got Circular Wood by Keith, Midnight Joker, Robert Lapsley. Let's have a look. Taking an interest. Who's that? Oh, Vince Ferrari. Okay. Cool.
And because we make.
Oh, cool. Welcome, Vincent.
Names are in.
And say again.
One of the big names. And Andy's just joined as well.
Excellent. Welcome, Andy. We'll just give it a minute before we kick off again, just so people can join. Like I said, I know there's another live going on at the same time as this one, unfortunately. Where are we? Okay, so guys, anybody in the chat wants to get their own back, wants to want to ask Andy some questions, put a big capital Q in the front of your question, so I know that you're asking a question. And what I'll do is I'll pop it up on screen. This is in between all the other questions that we usually ask our invadees. Tim, how to make... Cool. Well, there's not many, and they're the same questions every time. So, right, okay, let's kick it off with an intro. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, Andy, that your subscribers and your followers on Instagram and all that don't really know too much about you.
Really know. Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, I think most people know my kind of general history. I have been making for a very long time. Oh, well over 30 years. Actually, over 40 years. Oh, crikey. Yeah. Yeah, I've been making for over 40 years in one form or another. I used to be a physics teacher. I think most people know that. I had to give that up because of a back injury. I'm trying to think. I'm generally a fairly open book. So, yeah, apart from the real skeletons in the closet, which often come out. I think something, claim to fame. I once helped rescue Jet from the gladiators off the side of a mountain in the Lake District in blizzard conditions. So that was
nice.
That's a bit of a claim to fame. And she joined us in the pub in the evening, which was very nice. She's a lovely, absolutely lovely.
Oh, definitely. She was the only reason I used to watch Gladiators, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but she's absolutely gorgeous. In real life, she was absolutely gorgeous as well, even without makeup on. But no, just, when you kind of hear about celebrities, and sometimes, you think, oh, well, they seem like a nice guy. And then you kind of hear about some fan approaching them and saying, oh, can I have an autograph? And they turn to be really vile. I think, that's not uncommon amongst kind of some of the big celebrities. But, she was just really, really nice. Yeah, it's just kind of absolutely pleasant.
Yeah.
Oh, you're having technical issues again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. My camera keeps disconnecting itself. I
hope it's not that new webcam, because I've ordered one.
No, it's the USB. It's the multi-USB thing I'm using. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug it, because it was one of those 4-port ones. Right, let's have a look here. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's one of these stupid things from. So I bought it from somewhere, I don't know, but it's
good.
naff.
Amazon.
Okay, so let's just have a little look, see if we've got a question.
There are
a dodgy question. Is that from Andy Heel by any chance? Okay,
there is,
so
let's have a look. Tim's how to make us how you are. And there's that one from there.
Right. If p is equal, pi is equal to 3.145, what is sausage equal to? Thanks, Andy.
Sausage roll.
Let's have a look.
Oh, we've got Clive in.
I thought I saw enough. Hi, Clive. Terence Charlesworth's in as well. My vicar is Vicarish. I can't even pronounce that. Anyway. And Rob CP. Right. So, Andy, why YouTube? What made you record and upload that very first YouTube video?
I guess it goes back to 2017. That's when I basically had to give up teaching, which was it spread over the entire year. And I was first off work at about Easter, and daytime TV, if you've got a bad back, lying on the floor, you think, well, I'll just watch daytime TV, and that's good for 7-8 minutes of entertainment, and then it's just rubbish. So I fairly quickly discovered that using my Amazon Fire Stick, that I could actually get YouTube, which I'd never done before. It was always on laptop or computer. So I suddenly just go, right, what am I going to watch on YouTube? And I've never really been a big YouTube watcher at that point. Mostly just because of time. Just teaching. It's a 50 to 70 hour week job, and then with family, you just don't have time. I've used YouTube for years. Probably since the beginning, because it's a great resource. It's a great place to, like a lot of people, you want to fix something, go on YouTube. As a teacher, you want an inspirational video, go on YouTube. And so it's always one of those places. But I had an account, because I had a Gmail account, but I didn't really follow anyone. I probably had a few accounts that I was following, people like Make Magazine, and a few electronics accounts. Because about 7 or 8 years ago, I spent a year finishing off a GCSE electronics class, and I discovered then Make Magazine. I discovered Make Affairs, and so that was a great opportunity to start to explore the edges of the maker community, and discover there were more people out there doing stuff, and actually communities of people sort of doing stuff, doing electronics, making robots, building things out of wood, rubbish recycling, as well as just the DIY crew. So back into 2017, discovered YouTube. I think Jimmy DiResta was fairly high up on the recommendations list, so I binged a part of Jimmy DiResta. I think I've always watched. I was on TV. I was always very keen to programs like The Repair Shop, Money for Nothing, those programs where you see people fixing things. You don't really see enough fixing, but I like those programs. And years ago I used to watch the old Yankee Workshop, New Yankee Workshop, and Norm Abrams on cable TV. So if there's a DIY program on, I'd probably try and watch it. So suddenly there's these oh, look, there's this YouTube. With the recommendations you get, you discover people like Bob Claggett and Dave Picciuto, and you kind of think, oh, that's great. And then you discover they've got a podcast. And so when I was kind of having to when I could, and I started moving around, I dug out an old iPod and I downloaded some podcasts and started listening to those. And it's like, hang on, there's more people. And you find yourself on the edge of, it's this tiny little black hole, but when you kind of poke your head into it, it's infinite. And
Definitely.
so I kind of dived into this hole over the kind of I was off work from April to early July. And so, there's a few months there where it was kind of like, I couldn't do a lot. I was having physiotherapy, and I was kind of having to see doctors and spend a lot of time resting, couldn't move very far or very fast, and doing exercises, but not a lot of time. And when you're really kind of in a lot of pain, you can't really think, but you can kind of take things in. I was like, well, this is really cool. These people making things. And I think I was listening to Making It podcast, and I can't remember whether it was Bob or Dave Picciuto who said, anyone can start a podcast, anyone can start a YouTube channel. You don't have to be brilliant. All you need is kind of a camera and a stack of cameras. And you just do it. And our first videos were rubbish, and you go back and you look at their first videos and you think they're not very good production wise compared to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And I think this is quite interesting. And my eldest wanted to make a present for a friend, and we said, well, okay, we'll make a sword. So we made this cardboard sword just by taking corrugated cardboard, stacking it up, and putting some filler on it to kind of fill in the gaps and the edges, and spray painting it silver. And I think that's one of my first Instagram photos. So we kind of did this, and I thought, well, I'm going to take some photographs, and I'm going to put it on Instagram, because I kind of, through all this as well, I kind of discovered Instagram, which I'd never. I always thought it was just kind of sad people, actually a bit like me now, who take photographs of their dinner and kind of put it on. So it was like, okay, I'm going to start this Instagram account because it's a phone and I can do that really easy, and I can take pictures of stuff I've made, and you kind of start finding other people. I thought, well, actually, I could do a YouTube. I've done a couple of YouTube videos, which are actually kind of, if you count up my videos, I did one video where I said, look, this is my 100th video. If you count them up, it wasn't actually that time 100, because there were a few little hidden ones that I'd done just for family. And I kind of thought, well, actually, I could do some making. I could make a thing. And the tinkerage has been a thing for years. Pretty much ever since we moved into this house. We've been here about 11 years. And this became the tinkerage quite quickly. And it was just the name I gave to my little workshop. And I kind of thought, well, maybe I can do some videos of making stuff. I've got a few ideas. There's a few projects I want to do, and I'm a bit limited, particularly then, as to what I could do. But I thought, well, I can do stuff, and I've got to squeeze a lot of stuff in here. So I thought, well, people might want to see kind of what the organization is like. I'd seen, I've got his name, Stephen, the 8x6 workshop. I'd seen some of his videos. And kind of just super inspired. I mean, his place, it's just so clean, so tidy, and I really couldn't do that just because of the variety and amount of stuff I've got. I know he's got slightly less space, so it looks bigger. So it's kind of like, oh, crikey, there's other people with these tiny workshops. Well, it was always funny when you kind of explore, you go to the American YouTube and channels, and you see kind of tiny workshop, and it's kind of twice the size of a standard English single garage. So I thought, well, I can do this. I can do a channel, and I'm a physics teacher. I want to do something with physics as well, because I love inspiring physics. I love it and science. Just one of the things I often used to do was try and go out into like primary schools and do kind of little shows, or do work with some of the particularly the more able children to kind of stretch their science knowledge. I'd be the science teacher who'd go up onto the stage and do kind of events for Science Week, or I think there's a video somewhere on one of my channels of me on a bed of nails.
Oh dear!
And it's just like, let's inspire people to do things. So right, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to get a physics channel. I'm going to have a making channel. I'm going to do that, and I did that, and I started them off.
Right, I think we've lost Andy there for a second.
Oh.
It may be something to do with this storm. Oh, we got you back.
I'm back.
Yeah, we got you back.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's right.
Okay.
We lost you there.
So I got you on there. Maybe it's because I haven't got enough glasses on. Hang on. We'll keep you
I'll tell you what. While you sorted that out, we will jump across to your YouTube channel. So let's just.
There we go.
For the benefit of people that are in the chat, I usually edit this bit out. So this is Andy's. This is Andy's first, or is it your second? It's one of your two YouTube channels.
That was the second one.
Okay, so this is Tales from Tinkerage. You're currently on 1,420 odd subscribers. Do you know how many videos you got on here, Andy?
There's just under 100. Oh, it's about 100.
Cool. Yeah, because they're actually. Oh, right. Okay, that's a right. Anyway, forget what I was saying. So yeah, I'm going to be honest. I've not watched all of your videos, but when I can, I do.
Well, you've had a bit of time to catch up. We haven't put one out in ages.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of edits. I've got a couple that I should be editing and to actually put out. I bought a track store early in the year for a project and for in the house. So I've got a review of unboxing and first impressions. I don't like kind of reviews until you've used it for a while, but I kind of do unboxes and first impressions.
So up on the banner here is Andy's Instagram and his Patreon. So if you like what you see, guys, head over, subscribe. If you want to support Andy, his Patreon is there too. Right. Okay. Inspirations. Is there any one or anything, or anything that's happened that inspires what you do?
You know what? I get inspired every single day by what I see in the maker community. And I know that sounds like a bit of a cliche, but I really, really do. If I had a day where I didn't kind of particularly get on, I spent a lot of time on Instagram, sort of browsing through. I was trying to keep up with everyone that I follow, and I struggle to keep up with YouTube because there's so much good stuff being put out. And obviously that takes a bit longer to take in. But I truly do get. I know a lot of people now in the maker community, and many I would call friends. Some really close friends. I think some of my closest friends are now people that are in the maker community. And every single day, I get inspired by what people are doing. There's some super talented, super creative people, in this community. And I know I think about this quite a bit. We're only really, you and me, we're in just a small portion of the maker community. Across the country, across the world, there are just amazing people doing just amazing things, many of whom don't record their work for any format of posterity. They don't put things on Instagram. They don't put things on Facebook or YouTube. They're just doing these amazing things. And so seeing people every day, creating fantastic 3D printing or some fantastic art. I mean, you look at sort of the work that kind of Make It Soph has been producing lately. You look at some of the sort of the digital techniques that are being kind of used, and the way people are developing their skills. Every single day in the maker community, I see people learning. I see people inspiring others. I see people helping each other. I see people just creating the most amazing things. I see people stretching themselves every single day, trying things, making mistakes, and willing to make mistakes and show that they're making mistakes. And that's inspiring because, too often in this world, particularly social media, it's like, it's the perfect thing. It's the curated. It's the, look at me, I've got the perfect background. I've got the perfect lighting. Everything has to be just right. And it's just not reality. But the maker community is willing to show what real learning is like, what real making is like, and the things with that. And that's fantastically inspiring.
If someone was to ask me that same question, it would be exactly the same answer. So I'm totally with you there.
I mean, you can, I can drag back, going off from the previous question. I probably wouldn't have made a YouTube channel if I hadn't discovered, Jimmy DeResta and Bob Claggett on YouTube, and listen to their podcast and hear them say, "Oh, anyone can do this." There's nothing special about what we do. We're not particularly special people. And when if you meet, I've met both of them, and I've had conversations with both of those two people. And we call Jimmy the godfather of the maker community, and Bob Claggett, he's amazingly talented, he's lovely bloke. Both of them are lovely people, but they're also just ordinary people. Yes, Jimmy spent a lifetime making. That's been his career, that's his focus, that's his talent. Bob, very creative, very intelligent, he's applied himself to work. Very inspiring people. But to actually kind of being a member of a community for years, and to actually get involved in a community as actively I tried to, the only way that can happen is not by one or two people like Bob and Jimmy, however good they are, but by every single other person that's around. I know that if I've got a problem with a 3D printer, I can call on half a dozen people in seconds and get answers within minutes. People like Jamie Reeder or Duncan Band. If I want to do some programming and I've got an issue with that, I could call on Kiel Otto. If I want to work some metal, I could call Steve House. If I'm trying to do some sort of design thing, I could call on Al. If for art, I could call on Soph. If I'm trying to do something with a laser, I could call on Vincent Ferrari or Trevor Wanamaker over in the States, and I know that allowing for time differences, I'll get an answer as soon as possible. And how can you not be inspired by kind of that ability to draw into talent from all across the world and to see what they're making? It's just fantastic.
It's brilliant. Before we start the shop tour, I'm just gonna have a little look in the chat. We've got Ian in the shed in. We've got Damo.
Hey,
Tommy Dunn's in.
Tommy,
Cuz, Rob CP, Huey Lionheart, Clive from Sneaks Wall Art, Richard Pritchard. Who else? Oh, David McLaren, Wood Turning Crafts. And I think that was it. So, did I see a question?
There was a big question from Tim's how to make. If you chuck a Smurf, which colour does it go?
Oh, right. That's quite far back, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that one. Cool. Right. We've got a question from Andy Heel. So, what is the most ridiculous fact that you know?
Oh, that could take a while. I know a lot of things.
The most ridiculous.
I think the most ridiculous fact is if you tell somebody that they can't lick their elbow, they'll probably try. I think that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I've done that. Tried it anyway. Ian in the shed. Sorry?
Haven't we all? Yeah.
No, I can't do it. I've got too much man muscle around the chest area. That's the problem. I still can't do it from there. Looking at the YouTube, in the shed said, I found the more I'm on YouTube, the more great channels I find, and the less time I have to watch them all. That is a problem, Ian, for all of us. Let's have a little look. Come on, guys. Where's all your questions? I thought there was going to be loads of questions coming tonight from this lot.
Well, there's no sign of JP or Chris. I think that's the issue. Oh, JP's in. JP is in.
Okay, we've got a question here, and it's from Robert Lapsley. What thing? Oh, what's it say? What the thing
I've built that I'm most proud of?
Okay.
A couple of things really. I think I built kind of in the house. Well, there's lots of things I'm proud of. I've done a few kitchens, but I wouldn't say I'm really proud of them because I know the mistakes, and that's one of my kind of faults is that I I see my mistakes, and I'll never forget those mistakes, and I'll always, my eye always goes to them, and that's just me. Two things I would say I'm most proud of. The first one is the bed that I built for my eldest. Probably about, there's no photographs on this on open social media. It might be on my Facebook. Her room is really quite small, and she wanted, obviously she needs a bed, and she wanted a desk because she loves to write. So I built a desk, huge desk, with a bed above it. So essentially it's a high level bed.
Yeah.
The desk is the kind of sort of key thing, and so she uses that every day, and it's just, it's her bed desk. It's or desk bed. So there's that. The other, which is on Instagram, is what was crikey, it might be 18 months, 2 years ago now. The vicar of our village or church was leaving. So one of the kind of members of the church kind of approached me and said, "Look, can you make a gift for her?" And so I said, "Well, what sort of things is she interested in? What do things she like?" And she used to be a biology teacher, so she really likes kind of like things like fish. And of course, to Christians, the fish has quite a kind of important symbol as well. So I carved a fish out of yew, and I mean, yew is such a lovely wood to work with. Got it super smooth, but put a nice little twist into the tail. So if you looked at it from the side, it just looks like a fish, and it looks quite a nice fish. It's got kind of quite a nice tail. But if you look at it from above, it's not flat. It kind of actually had the kind of sort of tail as if it was in sort of motion of swimming.
Yeah.
So I think that is, and that's on Instagram. That's possibly the most recent thing that I'm kind of really proud of.
Cool. Okay, so question from Grant Alexandra. What is your biggest hurdle of making things every day?
Two hurdles, and they're probably equally big. Time. Although I'm kind of no longer teaching as a paid job, we homeschool. So I've got, one's off to sixth form next week, but I've still got another one that's kind of needs obviously kind of teaching. Obviously, I'm a house husband as well because my wife had to go to work instead of me. So house husband, teacher, and so that takes up a lot of time. But it's also my health. Okay. My back, I mean, every day I have pain with it, and some days that means I can't do anything. And just close followed behind those two is probably space. If I want to build anything big, so for example, one of the projects that I've got that's been going for a few months is a set of shelves, and I still need to do some more cutting. They need to be painted. I can't do that in here. There just isn't enough room, and I'm limited by the weather. Yeah. And we've had some pretty horrible weather this year. I mean, we haven't had a day in weeks here with wind under 10 miles an hour.
Right.
It's just, I think it's just been crazy. Or if there has been good weather, other things had to take priority. So it's kind of, so time, health, and followed closely by space. Those are my biggest hurdles.
Cool. One more question, then we'll jump on the shop tour. This is from from JP. Sculptor Frederick Oz, or I don't even know who that is. Is this a personal joke or something?
August Bortoldi based the face of the Statue of Liberty on whom? Oh crikey, he's come out with all sorts of this is revenge questions. These are, isn't it? This is revenge questions. Andy's got 100 chickens would it take to kill an elephant? A couple of hundred, I would have thought. I have no idea who Bortoldi based the face of the Statue of Liberty on.
Shall we just
jump? Question though. Andy's got a good question.
Okay.
If you had unlimited cash, what would be the first tool you bought?
Yeah.
I think for me, I'd probably go with something like a glow forge.
Right.
A glow forge.
Yeah.
Something that can go in the house with one of those. They've got the vent system, so you can actually have it in the house without having to vent through a wall. So you've got like a filter.
Yeah.
So I'd have the biggest of the glow forges with the filter system.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That's what I would.
Yeah, I agree.
I put in a lot of money. That's what I'd buy.
Okay, shall we have a little tour of your shop then? That's right, I'm moving away because my back's hurting at the moment. Right, I'm going to put you full screen. Now, someone requested, I can't remember who it was. It may have been Colin Roberts. So I'm going to put you, I'm going to put you like that.
Okay.
So, because no one wants to see me moving around. Right.
Right, where should we start? Well, I'm using my laptop, so I'll kind of try and move so the laptop as little as possible. So I'll kind of maybe just pick it up and down. So for benefit of the viewers, the door is that way. And for those who don't know the Tinkerage is it's just under 60 square feet. So I can touch things on both sides going that way at the same time and almost that way as well. So about kind of 6 inches from the shelf there. So it's not a huge space. So on this side, if I kind of sort of start at the kind of floor level, obviously storage. I had rescued this actually in one of my sheds until a few weeks ago, but I rescued that years ago. But I took out another one that wasn't quite so good, and that's kind of got some electronic storage in. I have a sink. I do have a sink in here, which is not an odd thing, but an unusual thing, I think, to have in a small shop. But it's a reflection of the fact that this room used to be the scullery of the house. So this was where washing was done. So there's actually the remains of an old chimney over there. It had a Belfast sink when we first moved in. I replaced it with a steel sink when we redid the kitchen. So that side is, apart from the sink, which doesn't get used a lot because all the stuff I tend to keep on it, is mostly storage. So all sorts of things, but it's just boxes and boxes of storage. Because that's kind of, every shop's going to have storage. And there's a whole series of kind of how I rejigged this last year, to get more space. So the door is literally behind that lab coat. Yeah, it's me. I've got to have a lab coat. And that's what kind of where I store my PPE. A lot of my stuff is kind of rescheduled just behind my workmate, which is invaluable. I have 3 workmates, but I only ever use one most of the time. Big old kind of chest of drawers that we didn't want to use anymore. Great for storage, but actually I end up just cramming the drawers full of stuff. I had to repair one a couple of weeks ago because the bottom had fallen out because of the weight of stuff that inside it. Let's just pop round. Try and move that light out of the way. So hopefully that isn't too bad. I've got kind of some of my storage is on these doors, because then you can almost triple the amount of storage you've got. I'm not overly happy. I spent quite a lot of time last year working on this, but I'm not overly happy with it because of things like this. The spanners rattle, so I still need to do a few bits and bobs. And actually, this is quite an interesting one. This saw, this fret saw, and this Archimedes drill were Christmas presents in, I think, when I was probably about 10, maybe 11. Actually, yeah, it would have been when I was about 10. And it was a kind of a marquetry and fret saw set. I've lost a couple of the bits. The peg went years ago, sort of the jeweler's peg for the sawing. I've still got these, and I still use them occasionally, and that's why they're out. So it really is a lifelong journey. Some of these tools, well, I've got excuse the creak. Just down here, actually, I've got a project that I've been kind of wanting to work on for a long time. This pot here are tools that belong to my father and to my grandfather. So we've got some old, folding rulers that are inches only. Unfortunately, broken at some point, but that's tools. Some of these are, these looked old when I was a child. So most of these are probably 100 years old, if not kind of older.
I bet it's really good Sheffield steel or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the plan is with those is to make like a giant shadow box, and I want to put them on a wall actually in the house as kind of not just inspiration, but kind of more kind of memory type things. I may not put them all in there, but I want something, maybe kind of a foot by 2 foot with some laid out nicely. Just because they are fantastic tools. I've wrecked some of the chisels, but that's kind of the way it goes. They were tools, they were to be used. But now I've got my own tools, so I don't need to continue to use some of them.
Yeah.
Coming back around, so I've gone back around the other way just to be on the laptop. Got my oldie bandsaw. Obviously, I'd love a better one, but this is better than the one I had, which was a 40-year-old one. They're a good little starting point for bandsaws. If you've not got a bandsaw and you want something, and you haven't got a huge amount of money, for about 70 quid, 80 quid, they're really good investment. So I use that a lot, and because I've got very little space, all these things are kind of on boards, so I can just literally drag it around and bring it out if I need to use it. Deep in the corner under there, which is kind of a bit of a black hole, which is the problem with kind of corners in a place like this. If I can get down there, is my compressor and a few other things that are sort of stored. That was a bit of a game changer, getting a compressor as well, with some of the compressor tools. I think that happened because of seeing videos of people using kind of nail guns and things like that. You think, well, that's useful, and the number of times over the years when I could have really done with an air hose to kind of blow out, tools, a vacuum cleaner. You're trying to fix a vacuum cleaner and you kind of want to repair it, and air hose just makes life so much easier. Carrying back on underneath. Let's move around here from it. There's my table saw. There, it's a 10-inch table saw. It's okay. I don't use it very much. I have a few times contemplated getting rid of it. I can't use it in here. I have to literally drag it out because it takes up so much space. Obviously, it's stored underneath. I've got a couple of welders there as well that I was given at Maker Central last year. The table saw, I do like a table saw. I first used table saws back in the 90s, early 90s, and they were big Watkins with kind of the big side tables, and they were fine. Scary anything. There were no guards.
Cast iron bed and all that.
18-inch blades, no guards, and we're doing heavy stuff on them. So they don't scare me, but certainly I'm kind of wary, and I have deep respect for a table saw, and we've all seen the injuries they can do. It's not a nice thing to think about. I want to make some jigs though for them. I don't have a crosscut sled. The biggest problem with that is I haven't got anywhere to store it. So I constant kind of think, well, where do I put things like that if I make them? Hand tools, the bench where the laptop is sitting and the bench this side here is where I kind of do most of the different things. So the one with the laptop on has a vise, and it's set up with some dog holes so I can kind of clamp things. So that's kind of more the wood side of things. And this side tends to be the kind of more maybe the electronics, the fixing things, sorting things out tends to be on this kind of flat bench to the side, and that's why I keep kind of hand tools kind of all across here. Again, another one with that. Again, another thing I'm not happy with in the rejig last year. This is the best place for my die grinder. It was just a 30 quid die grinder from Amazon with a flex shaft. Flex shaft, I mean, as Andy Hill will say, flex shafts, they're such a game changer. This was my second one. My first one broke, which is why I bought this one. This one is okay. I've had to rebuild the shaft a couple of times. Initially, when I first used it, I actually got burns from the kind of this coming across me. It was so hot because it was just.
Right.
So I've had that apart a couple of times to kind of lubricate it with some high temperature lubricant. Real game changer having that. Power tools get stored up on the shelf up here. I've got rid of a couple lately. Sent it to my local men's shed. I don't need. I got given a random orbital sander for my birthday last month, and while I haven't opened it yet, I've got rid of a couple of sanders, quarter sheet and half sheet sanders, to make a bit of space. But every bit of space, the ceiling's, it's only 6'10", the ceiling in here.
Right.
Everything is kind of within fairly easy reach. It's just crammed in.
Yeah.
This is kind of screws and assorted components and all sorts of interesting things I've collected over the years. It's like brass rivets. They're just too good to throw away. You kind of think, well, what can that be? I've got kind of rods. This is all rods taken from mechanisms, old sewing machines, printers, things like that. Just small little rods.
Oh.
It's interesting the things I've got, but it's also sometimes a bit daunting that I've got so many things. So there's a load of that. I've got a computer in here, so I can see the sort of chat. And then see if I can move this around here. So up on the shelf here, this is where I keep most of my electronics. So I've got a few more over here. So a few more up there. I've got electronics there. Electronic components there. Damo asked a question about whether I had a particular capacitor and a 555 timer. Yes, I have dozens of the 555s, and I've probably got dozens of those particular capacitors. And why? Well, why not? So again, lots of storage. Everything's just crammed in. Everything has a place. Some places things don't actually have places, but should have. And I think the only place left now is underneath this. Let's see if I can get a bit of a shot underneath. So underneath, this is network cable doesn't like this. Let's see if I can do this without. I may have to tip it sideways. So underneath here, I have some of my big tools. My scroll saw. Yes, Jamie, I've got my scroll saw. There it is. This is the scroll saw. Mitre saw. I've got a track saw. Bought that a few months ago. I wish I'd bought one years ago. Such a difference. So much easier than using a circular saw.
I've been looking at them myself, actually.
Yeah, I recommend. I've only got the Airbow. It was on offer. It was cheap. As cheap as things like that can be. It's such a game changer. It really is. And then I've got my nice wood. So my hardwoods, pieces of yew and oak and sycamore, a little bit of ash, a little bit of cherry, and a few little kind of projecty things, nice projecty things underneath. And then tools. I've got a vacuum cleaner. I've got a box of plumbing tools. I've got another box of electrical tools, a box of grinders, a couple of bench grinders hidden away. There are a few things I haven't got, but there's not many things I can't do with the stuff I do have. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. Yeah.
Well, it looks like you've kind of crammed every single inch of that place with. You've used every single inch, I should say.
I've used every inch. Yeah. I've also got 2 sheds at the bottom of the garden. We've got quite a long garden, and they're not practical. They're not even strong enough and good enough to use as workshops. There's 2 sheds at the bottom of the garden. One of them, the better one, is used for storing bikes and lawnmowers and kind of garden tools. But it's also 3/4 full of accumulated tools and junk. The big tools, the bulky tools, things like the tiling. If you're tiling the kitchen, all those things. Tile saw, the sponges, all that stuff takes a huge amount of space. The demolition tools. The paint strippers, the steam stripper type things, and then I've got another shed which is actually been a problem. I've started working on it. My name's Andy. I'm a hoarder. I make stuff. I collect more stuff to build with than I can actually build with. Right. I think probably I think that's possibly an issue that many of us in the maker community suffer with. I know some people are better than others. Maybe that's something Dean that you had on a couple of weeks ago. His workshop, lovely and tidy. And I know he has a storage room, but it's still a fraction of stuff. Just think, add another 25 years, and he'll have more stuff unless he's very disciplined. And I just got to the point. Both sheds I couldn't actually walk into. To actually get into a shed and get something, actually have to remove things to get in. And that's not good. So I've started to remove things. I dejunked part of electronics. a few weeks ago. Literally had when I finished teaching the electronics, which I mentioned earlier, the school decided they weren't going to carry on teaching, which I wouldn't say broke my heart, but I was disappointed by. And I made that clear that I was disappointed by it. There were people who wanted to do it. It was boys' grammar school, which there are stereotypes for a reason. Boys' grammar schools, it's not difficult to have a class full of people who want to do electronics.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to do it, and they wanted to get rid of it, and they wanted to make extra classrooms. And I understood that kind of need. So, I couldn't it didn't break my heart from that point of view, but a lot of the stuff had to go, and I rescued as much as I could. And that takes up space. So I've kind of had to get rid of some of the stuff that I rescued that I'll never use. So my local hack space had 3/4 of it. I've got a couple of boxes of bits to go after a few friends in the community, and I kept obviously some stuff for myself as well. But I reduced it by 85%, 90% to keep. And I've got to do that. I've got the same with wood. Every project I've ever done in the house, and in your married life, you spend a lot of time kind of doing DIY. We bought cheap, which meant we needed to do work, so we could sell, so we could buy cheap again, do work to kind of try and reduce the mortgage and things like that.
Yeah.
And because we've homeschooled, we only had one salary, so doing kind of I'm going to do the DIY. So if I've got a piece of wood left over, I keep that. However long it is. If it's less than an inch long, I'll probably throw it away. But if it's 6 inches long, well, that could be useful. So, and sometimes it is, but there's a limit to how many pieces of wood you can keep. So I've reached that limit.
I have to do a purge every now and again because I'm terrible. I'm not so bad as I used to be, but I've got to kind of keep myself from thinking, oh yeah, I can use that. I might, and put it somewhere, and end up getting to the point where I've just filled the workshop up again. Makers Central 2021. Shall we expect to see you there?
Yep.
Yeah, brilliant.
Got my ticket. I'll be there. Well, I say I'll be there. I had my ticket for the first one. Obviously, it was 2017. It was announced Nick was going to do this. I was really excited. I bought my ticket. I was very quick in buying a ticket, but I couldn't make it. Physically, I just couldn't make it. I was on my back was playing up again. I got back to work in the July 2017. By November, I was off, and I never went back to work after that. I some personal things, and that was about April the following year. I just wasn't well enough. I wasn't able to move. I made last year, and 2019. And do you know what? That's one of the best weekends of certainly. Excluding things like getting married, having kids, those things are on a different level again. But in terms of kind of having a weekend with a bunch of people, many of whom I didn't kind of really know, I suppose, and I hadn't met any of them, so it was quite a kind of daunting thing. But boy, what a great weekend that was!
I loved it.
So I will, as best I can. I've got the tickets. I haven't got the accommodation yet. I think a lot of us are reluctant to kind of purchase accommodation at the moment because of the ongoing pandemic, and
you never know
how it's going to pan out. We never know, but I shall do my best to get there.
Cool. Let's just have a little look in the chat before we head on to the next question. I actually need to mention that my dad is in the chat. I forgot to mention him earlier on. Sorry, Dad. Colin Bennett. Let's have a little look. There's no other questions, but we've got Billy Burt coming in.
About advert on TV.
Let's have a look. That was way back, wasn't it?
Yeah, toothpaste, I think.
Can you see it? Oh, is that what it was?
It was something about first advert on TV. If that was the question, toothpaste.
Right. Okay. There you go. See, you can't trick him, JP. It's gonna.
Wait and see if JP tells us that's the right answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's have a little look. Okay. So, tools. Have you got a favorite tool and a least favorite tool?
Favorite tool is tricky because I've got I try and get the tools to do the job. I can't always afford the best tools. Yeah, I bought an Aerobow track saw because I can't afford a Festool. Yeah, I know there's jokes about Festool, but Festool tools are good tools. That's why they cost so much. Favorite tools. I've got quite a few favorite tools, and whether it's things like my only snap-on tool is this snap-on screwdriver that a workman left. Yeah, we had a dishwasher installed or washing machine, and because I was working, I couldn't do it. Wife had we had a small baby, so wanted it fixed. So right, well, okay, we'll pay the 25 quid and get it installed. Left this behind. We phoned them up, said you left your screwdriver. I said, well, I'll just keep it. And you know what? It's a fantastic screwdriver.
I've got the same screwdriver. Is that the one that you can actually put a spanner on the base of the handle?
You got the hex.
Yeah, but mine's been worn down where I've ground it.
Yes, there's that. I mean, this is quite a good favorite, quite a nice tool. My glue gun. I bought a glue gun back in the early 90s, my first glue gun, and that was just I think it was Black & Decker or something like that, or Bostik. It was Bostik. It was kind of it was only a little one. It was one of the thin ones, and that was just so useful over the years. And then a few years ago, I bought this Bosch one, which is almost perfect. It needs a power light. That's one of the kind of the faults of it.
Ah, right. So you don't. So you really need to be aware that you've used it.
You've left it switched. Yeah, it's still hot. So I've got things like that. Flex shaft. It's not the best flex shaft in the world. It was cheap, but so great if you're carving something.
Right.
Yeah, I've got those. It's those things. You've got the favorite pair of pliers, or the hammer, or I tell you what. Let's go for one of my favorite tools. Irwin Flex flush cutting saw. Super sharp. It's currently covered in PVC. The last thing I cut must have been PVC. So it's really nice. If you're doing if you're plugging holes, so if you've done some screw holes and you want to kind of plug them, use a plug cutter, put the thing in, have it sticking up, put this on it. You don't need to put tape down to protect the surface. It will not mar the surface as long as you keep it flat, and you can bend it and saw as well.
Yeah.
So not expensive, but certainly one of my more favorite tools.
Is that one of those pull cut saws? Is it only cut on the pull?
It'll cut on the push or the pull. So the teeth are actually straight.
Yeah.
So it'll cut equally well in either direction, and they're flat. So I can literally run my fingers up there without catching at all. So
Brilliant.
little Irwin Flex. So let me just hang that back up.
My dad said he's got the same one actually.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little saw. I've had it quite a few. 8 or 9 years now. So it's lasted really well. It's not. I don't use it all the time, but you're cutting plastic. It goes really well if you're trying to cut an architrave. Until I bought a multi-tool. I bought a multi-tool in a car boot sale last year. Never had one before. And so you're doing things like flooring. You want to cut the flooring to go underneath, say, the architrave of the door. That really nice. Get in there, put a little bit of timber on, so it's running on that and goes in really nicely. Least favorite tools. I don't like having cheap tools, and I've got a lot of cheap tools, but things like I've got some precision torque screwdrivers. I think they cost like £2 in like a discount store, and they're okay as long as the things aren't tight, but they strip really easily. I find it difficult to get hold of nice utility knives. So yeah, I find there's often faults with them. So this is kind of carpet fitter style of knife, the kind of sort of curved one. It's supposed to be retractable, but the retract thing broke off in 3 months. So it's no longer retractable. This is a JCB snap-off, 18mm snap-off one. If you lock the blade, sometimes you can't unlock it. Sometimes when you pull back to retract the blade stays out.
God.
I just had, in fact,
Yeah.
my birthday, I asked for, I think my mother, it was my mother-in-law, wanted to know what I wanted, and I asked for a couple of things. That she gave me the random orbital sander. I gave her a choice of a few things, and she bought several of them instead of just kind of one or two.
Cool.
And she bought me an Alpha retractable, 18mm retractable, which has got a wheel lock on there, and that's really nice. I'm hoping it lives up to its sort of standard. Haven't used it in anger yet. It's mostly going to be for my bookbinding, so it may not find its way out to the tinkerage. So I dislike cheap tools that break, but I haven't got huge amounts of money. Yeah, most of my tools are bought either from necessity, because we need to do a job in the house, or from things like birthday or Christmas money.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think there's a lot of people that, even in the chat here, that will kind of be in the same situation as far as, not having the money to go out and spend thousands of pounds on tools that they don't really need.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I had the money, I'd have a nice 20-foot by 10-foot shop down the bottom of the garden, fully insulated. I'd have a laser down there. I'd have a CNC down there. Something like a Shipoko. I'd have a Glowforge. I'd have that set up in a nice quiet area. I'd have some bunch of Festool tools, or Mafel or Metabo. I'd have a nice little lathe. I'd have a machine lathe. I kind of have the works, but
wouldn't we all?
So just do what I got.
Okay, so direction of channel. Where do you hope to be this time next year as far as your channel?
Hopefully just making more. I have to actually think longer term. My eldest is just about to start sixth form. My youngest has got another 2 years before she does sixth form or something like that. So I know that I've got a few years where actually a lot more time has to be family focused. So I know that for at least the next 2 years, I'm probably not going to be able to put videos out as often as I'd like. I've had quite a big gap since my last one. I've got a couple in edit. The whole pandemic thing. We haven't knowingly had coronavirus, but the whole thing has been stressful. The whole situation with exams, what was going to happen with those. Family has to come first. So absolutely. I want to kind of try and make more regularly, and that's not necessarily make videos, but just to make more regularly. I haven't been making enough, so that's part of the reason why I'm trying to get rid of some of the hoard, get rid of some of the junk, to actually free up mentally kind of the ability to make stuff. Yes, I want to record more. I want to get videos out. I'd love to have some deals with some companies that are actually kind of paying me money. Working on, I wouldn't say too much annoying, but I have been gifted by a company a machine, and I need to do some work on that. I need to get a video out for that and do some things with that. I'm trying to develop a website. I've been doing that for a long time and I need to put more effort into that, get that going. I've got the podcasts. I had a break, pandemic. I had a 3.5 month break with that, so just trying to get that back in action. Recording that again. So if over the next year I could get one video out a month, I think I'd be happy. I need to up my game, but I know that to up my game properly, I also need to not have the commitment of trying to educate one of my kids and guide my other one through the sixth form. So hopefully more. The thing for me is I want to try and just maintain, it sounds a bit pretentious, but my role in the community. I every day I spend time looking through YouTube, looking through Instagram. I'm in various kind of discussion groups, chat groups, whatever you want to call them, and that for me is really important. It's important. It helps me, and it's nice to be able to help other people. I am far better at giving advice than I am taking my own advice or even the advice of other people. So yeah, I want to get more stuff out. I hope to be putting stuff out on a more regular basis, but life happens, and yeah, that does tend to get in the way. And I'm not going to apologize for that. This, I think, as for many of us, YouTube is a bit of a vanity. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not a negative thing. It's just, it's a luxury. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are many
Yeah.
makers who don't bother with things like this. Part of doing YouTube. Partly it's about like the educator in me. I was always the kid in school who helped other people with their homework and other stuff like that. And so, I would say I've been an educator for 40 years. It's something I want to do. I like doing. I like helping people. I like seeing people achieve. I like to encourage people. That's kind of what I do. That kind of drives me. It's also that element of legacy. I was talking to somebody about this a little while ago. Yeah, I think I have a couple of old videotapes that might possibly have some pictures of my dad. My dad died 2002, early 2002. So he's been gone over 18 years. I have pictures. I possibly have some video, but it's not video that I would say is personable. He was heavily involved in scouts, so I've got a couple of videos that have kind of some scout events on, and he might be there in the background and things like that. I don't have any videos like that of my dad. So I certainly don't. Obviously, of things like grandparents. I'm of an age where grandparents were dead long before. Well, most of my grandparents, certainly my grandfathers, I never met them. So a bit of it's about legacy and kind of leaving something behind that my children, and hopefully they have children, they can kind of go, if once I've gone, which is inevitable. We're all mortal. And I had a bit of a heart scare last year. I had an infection that caused inflammation around the heart, which kind of presents as a heart attack. And that's scary. And it's a bit of a wake up call. My heart is actually damaged a little bit, and obviously I look after myself now. I'm trying to take more care with looking after myself. But it does make you aware of your own mortality and being able to leave something behind that my children can kind of go, look, kids, there's your granddad. And they can hear, because YouTube, it could disappear tomorrow, but let's face it, it's probably going to keep going for another 100 years. It may change format. There'll be VR glasses and things like that, but it's going to be there. It's not a problem. Thinking about its mortality, and I'll be keeping copies of things anyway. And in my kind of last one document, here's a copy of the DVD. So it's legacy as well. So hopefully over time, in the next 4 to 5 years, my ability to produce videos will become easier, health willing, and maybe one day I will have big following and be making some money from some sponsors and kind of call myself a professional maker.
It's just one video. That's all it takes. Just one video.
The right video. Yeah.
So you never know. Any one of us could just suddenly. Where are we? Baz from Real Simple Things has joined the chat.
Hey, hi Matt.
Okay, so we're coming to an end. Right. Before we get to shout outs, camera equipment.
JP just made a point in the chat as well. He said, I have got a big following. Well, yeah, I suppose. He says, YouTube subs don't mean a thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important thing. I think a lot of people get hung up on numbers. And it's nice to get your 1,000, get your 1,000 subscribers and your 4,000 hours of watch time in the last year and get monetized. But how many of us, we reach 100 and we go, oh, it's great, I've reached 100. But I want to reach 200 now. And you kind of, oh, it's taking ages to get to 200. And it's like you get to 200, it's like, I really want to get 500. And you kind of takes ages to get to 500, and you get to 1,000. And it's like, you're not satisfied with 1,000. You want 1,500. Then you want 2,000 and 2,500. I want 10,000 and 20,000. And there's always that more. There's not a top number, is there? There's not a kind of max number.
There isn't, but it's I mean, if you put in the work in, you're putting the hours in, the editing, the whole process of finding a project and all the materials and all that, there's a lot that goes into a video, as you already know. You want some kind of recognition that, you've put all that in. You want people to think they want to, hit the like button at least, or give us a view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is that kind of recognition, isn't it? Or that the thing that always the other thing that makes me think about it is when I was teaching. Teaching, I got to the point with saying to sort of people, teaching is the best of jobs and the worst of jobs. Term time, it consumes you. If you're doing your job properly, you can't work. Yes, you may only have 20 hours per week of contact with the students. You can't do everything else that you need to do in another 20 hours. So it's not a normal kind of 40-hour week. Most teachers work between 50 and 70 hours a week if they're full time. Well, early in their career, it can be longer. Once you get experienced, after 20 years, I could walk into a classroom, go, right, what are we doing today? Oh, it's gravitational potential energy, and I could complete a lesson off the top of my head on gravitational potential energy. That comes obviously with experience. But all the other stuff that goes with teaching, if you go into management, it can be really, really stressful. I mean, my teacher friends who are trying to work out how to actually cope next week with schools and the pandemic and the guidance from the government, which is just a little bit kind of woo. It's stressful even at the best of times. But when you get some kid who goes, "Oh, I get it now, sir. I get it," that makes up for 6 weeks of 50-hour weeks in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And for me, sometimes when actually it's not so much necessarily the likes, but actually sometimes it's more the kind of the comments, and it may come later time. It may not necessarily be kind of soon after the when somebody goes, "That was just what I needed to fix my tap," because that's my most popular video. It's a tap fixing video. That you mean I can do that? You show that somebody can actually do something, and they don't need special skills. They don't need special tools, or they kind of go, "Oh, isn't that that's just fantastic." And when you can kind of read into a comment, or somebody goes, "You know what? That really, really meant something important to me." So the fish that I told you about, when I handed it over to the lovely lady who kind of commissioned it, and she unwrapped the tissue paper, she was almost crying when she looked at it. And there was hours of work that had gone into it. I didn't want to hand it over because I really liked it myself anyway. But when to actually see her reaction of opening that, and she was almost in tears looking at it. She was literally had it in her hands for about 5 minutes, just stroking at it, looking at it, and he was just like, "Yeah, that's why I did that." It wasn't actually for the vicar, really. It was for her. And so it can sometimes just be those little things that kind of the little comments, and not just the numbers, not just the number of the likes. When you get a comment perhaps from somebody that you know and respect, he says, "You know what? I really like that." For me, it's those things that are the real boost. And I think that's again going back to that community. We have such a fantastic community where people will do that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the early days, it used to be. I mean, it frustrated me. I don't know why, but you would pull hours and hours into producing a video, and you get like 30 odd views. You know what I mean? And then you get someone that jumps over a moving car like a total idiot that gets 3 million views in about 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? That's the bit I can't understand.
Things like that frustrating. That kind of ability. If I was, I know this is a horrible stereotype, and I really don't like it, But if I was 25, female, prepared to put on small tight shorts, small tight top, flash, God-given body, and
I'll watch.
pretend to do, and it's like, this is it. Figures would be through the roof. But I'm an old white guy with grey hair, and not any particular fancy tools, and I'm not particularly loud, and I don't have a huge workshop with all fancy stuff in it. It's. But when I get somebody, when you get somebody like JP putting a comment in the comments here saying, it's not about the numbers. You have a big following, but that can't get you in the fields, and that's more important. I'd rather have 400. I'd rather have 400 people follow me that kind of engage and kind
of
interact and kind of go, I really like that. That's really cool. You've done a great job there. Not in that kind of that false friend type thing. Isn't that great? You're wonderful. No. That genuine. That they're talented people, and they go, that's cool. That's really cool. I really like you did that. I'd rather have 400 people like that than 400,000. Even though, yes, it'd be nice to have those figures, and it'd be nice to get the sponsorship that goes with those figures. But I'd rather have a group of people following that kind of I can call my community than just have an audience.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. Okay. So, do you have a shout out or a couple? It's up to you.
Oh crikey! I mean, where do you start? I'm trying to think about videos I'd seen in the last couple of days, and every day I watch. A normal day, I'll watch between 10 and 20 videos. Some of them are very short. Some I'll just skip through if they're boring. Some are very short. Who can you not shout out? As I said, there's so many really talented people. But I'm going to shout out one person, one. Actually, not so far away from me. He lives within kind of 50 miles of me. George Davey. Channel's called George Made This.
George,
it's not a huge channel. I'll send you a link in a minute and put that there. I'll have to do a bit of typing in a second and find a link. He put a video out just a couple of days ago. He's done some fantastic little things. Really understated, makes some really nice things. And he's quite active on Instagram. See if I can find him. See if I can find him on Instagram. I'll go back to the main page. Really, he's just really nice guy, and he makes really nice stuff. He's very talented. Let's have a George Davey. Let me get you a link, and I'll find his YouTube channel as well. Send you a link.
What I'll do is I'll pop this straight in the chat.
This is Instagram.
Oh.
So he's just done a rocket table. So it looks like a rocket's taking off, a little coffee table. He's done a couple of things with. He does a bit of printing. So for the kind of anti-racism thing, he made some postcards with "Don't be a dick" on. He's been working with. He's another one of the guys who's been able to work with Dremel, which is really cool. Let's see if I can find. Did you find his YouTube?
No.
Let me see. Oh, JP's just put a video up. Is that might be his?
I'm not sure. The Love Gun 93.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it in the.
Yes. JP's got it. Yeah, JP put it up.
Okay. Cool.
So JP got it.
Excellent.
So, really nice guy. He's just done a video about a little set of plywood TV corner. So he does practical things. He does artistic things. So He's not so far from me. Yeah, nice guy. Deserves more.
Brilliant. My shout out for this week is these guys. Yes. Now, when I was with Chris and Emma over a function, a barbecue that was going on, Chris mentioned these. Now, Chris and Emma they sent this to me yesterday as a gift, which I'm really happy about, and they wouldn't accept any postage or any payment at all, which is it's great. Anyone that watched my channel knows that I desperately needed one. So thanks to Chris and Emma over at Dragon Tail Turnings. Thanks, guys.
I think there's a fine example of people discovering the community. I know Chris would certainly curse and repeatedly curses JP for the amount of money that it's cost him getting lathes, getting Susie a lathe, and then getting a bigger lathe, and all the stuff that goes. I mean, wood turning it's a rabbit hole. I haven't got the space or the money for going. I'd love to do it, but I haven't got the space or the money. I can't. You get those little pen turning lathes which are about this big, but I can't. They're seem to be more expensive than things twice the size.
Yeah.
And they went along to Maker Central just because there was this thing on, and they liked doing a bit of making, and they thought it'd be interesting. And 15 months later, they are embedded firmly in the kind of the sort of the British corner of the wood turning community. It's just fantastic.
The thing is, the good thing about this story for these guys is their younger daughter started this off, obviously influenced by JB as well.
It was just pointed out in the chat that in his defense, he did get them a discount on the Coronet lathe.
Yeah, but the thing is, their daughter, obviously with school and her age and stuff, she's kind of taken a little break from it. But Chris and Emma now have jumped in there, and they're using all this gear, and they're really enjoying themselves. Which is great. So thanks to JP for influencing a whole family.
Well, again, there's another example of somebody who needs almost a permanent shout out. JP does so much for the community in the UK, but also internationally. The number of times if you have to be kind of an insomniac and find somebody having a live hangout, 1 o'clock in the morning because it's 8 o'clock in the evening, kind of central time, and you might find JP hanging out there. He's kind of one of those people that really helps to sort of join the community together. So
definitely, it gets
he's
about a
bit shout out just about anyway.
Mark the Gentle Wood Turner. Okay, so you've survived your second invasion, Andy, and I really appreciate you doing this for the second time.
No problem. It's getting quicker this time. We're less than kind of an hour and 45. So.
It has, and we've asked questions out of the chat. Oh, what's that? What's this? Colin Roberts. Okay, he'd like to thank Tommy Dunn. He's just sent him a massive box of wood, and I think it shows how nice the community can be. You know what? There is a lot of really, really genuinely generous people out there in our community, which I really appreciate.
I went to Maker Central last year, and I hadn't met anyone. Obviously, I talked to people online, but they could have all been a bunch of axe wielding psychos, really. What you see on TV, and on the computer, what you see kind of in real life, and they're not necessarily the same thing. And generally, I'd say that it was better meeting people in real life.
Yeah.
But I came away from Maker Central with an arc welder, a MIG welder,
Nice.
courtesy of Jim from Wave Cycles. He's quite on social media at the moment. He's a very busy guy. Works in farming. So yeah, it's been a crazy year for obviously farming as well as other things. Got a couple of great videos on his channel. I hope maybe one day he'll make another video again. He's a very talented guy and very kind guy. Give me those. I just walked away with a 3D printer from Simon Harmon. Literally kind of didn't know me from Adam really, but because you haven't got a 3D printer, here's one. Have it. I've had problems with it, and so you'll need to do some work on it. But here you go. Have a 3D printer. I was like, really? but, have it.
And,
I mean, where else do you find that kind of generosity? I mean, it does exist. We have to appreciate that. This isn't the only generous community. There are plenty of generous people out in the world in all sorts of different communities. But I'll tell you what, having been members of many communities over the years, I've never really met a community that is as generous, particularly as widespread as this. I've been involved in things like when I was younger, I was involved with cave rescue and mountain rescue teams. And obviously there's a level of generosity within people there who are willing to go out in the worst of conditions to help people when they're in their direst need. And you can't get more generous than risking your own life to help somebody else. But that's very localized. It's kind of, well, this is our community, this is our area, this is what we do. But when you have things like, I think the benefit of social media, you have people literally across the world who will send each other things, will help each other. It's just amazing.
It is. I like to give back as much as I possibly can as well. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Andy. Thanks to everybody in the chat that turned in to watch Andy's invasion. Remember, if you're not subscribed to Andy, which I highly doubt that you'll not, head over, give him a sub.
Tales from the Tinkerage is the kind of channel.
Yeah. And also, Andy's got a second channel as well, haven't you? That
well, technically, I have 7 channels, but I'm not going to tell you about all of them.
Right. Okay.
So I tend to watch on YouTube. I tend to watch through my personal channel, which is Andy Pugh. So that's where kind of all my subscribers are, and where I tend to comment from. My making channel is Tales from the Tinkerage, and I have a physics channel which I haven't updated in a long time. I want to get back to doing that, but I kind of had to stop all the YouTube when I was off sick, because it doesn't look good if you're kind of off sick from work but you're making videos. Which is understandable, even if the video is actually something that's really simple to do and it doesn't involve you moving or actually doing anything painful, and it's recorded over a 5-minute video that's recorded over 5 days because that's all you can manage. That doesn't matter, but it's what appears. So there's Physics Mad, which is my physics channel, which hasn't got very many subscribers, but quite a few that's for school children. Instagram, I have Andy CPU is my main Instagram account, which again is where I follow most people and where I do most of my interaction. I also have a podcast called Thoughts on the Tinkerage, which is available most podcast providers, apart from at the moment Google. You don't seem to want to kind of upload my last couple.
Okay.
But it's on iTunes and all the other kind of Podcast Addict and Spotify. So there's an Instagram account to go with that. There's also actually a YouTube channel to go with that, but that's a bit not up to date. And I am working on a blog as well for my food. I like food. I like cooking. So I have an Instagram account called A Welshman's Kitchen.
Well, if you send me all the links to them, I'll put them all in the description so people can head over and follow you. Just before we go, JP's giveaway is still going. It's ending soon. So head over to JP Woodwork, check out his 5K giveaway video. In there at the end, it will tell you how to go about entering his giveaway. He's got some nice stuff to give away. So, Andy, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone in the chat that came tonight. And remember, if I haven't invaded you, get in touch. and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.